And on a Wednesday morning, April 17, at 12 minutes before the top of the hour, we're joined in studio by Democratic strategist Michael Meehan. Michael, you worked in the, and with our regular team here, I don't mean to neglect, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning and company. Michael, you worked in the Senate, you mentioned, 23 years?
Yes.
Started as a very young man.
In college, yes.
In college. This letter received yesterday by Senator Roger Wicker from Mississippi with rice, not received in his office.
Right.
But you had that experience when you were working with Senator Daschle?
Yes. The anthrax letter that came a couple weeks after 9/11 came to Senator Daschle's attention. Also, Senator Leahy had one addressed to him. Was opened by a young woman in our
But they actually arrived at the office. Back
in the day, the U.S. mail used to come to the Senate office directly, and then after the anthrax, they radiate mail in an off-site premise, and so it usually takes 2 or 3 weeks for a piece of mail to actually get to the member's office. So now, because of the situation with the anthrax, this is how they caught the ricin letter for Senator Wicker.
And the ricin letter was caught at this screening location.
Location off-site, not on the Capitol.
What was they never traced that down,
no,
right? They never found out who was responsible for the anthrax?
They had a couple strong suspects, but they weren't able to actually put it together to charge anybody with it. So. And
where do you get ricin?
I have no idea. I mean, it's a pretty nasty substance. Inhaled or swallowed will kill you. So it's but it comes across as like white powder. So it could be confectionery sugar for looks the same. So.
It's just so strange, and Roger Wicker of all people, why? I mean, I might have heard of him, but I couldn't have told you.
Yeah, well, they were speculating that
certainly not a high-profile senator.
No, he's not. But it was the letter did not have a return address. It came out of Tennessee, and apparently he may have moved slightly to the middle on a vote a couple weeks ago, and that was the speculation of I don't even know what the vote was, but apparently that was one of the causes that possibly why I got the letter.
All right, before the break, we were talking about the political toxicity of any vote on gun control or gun safety. Does the same toxicity exist when it comes to immigration reform?
I think for the same reason, my thinking on the gun votes and the Republican senators, it's the same for immigration, except political survivability for the long-term interests of the Republican Party is you cannot continue to lose Hispanic voters 70-30 and expect ever to get the White House again. And then, the population of Hispanic voters has just grown exponentially in so many places around the country that it's political malpractice, and therefore you have openings where Republicans could come forward. I think the path to citizenship is the line there, where Republicans worry in a primary that if somehow the 11 million immigrants that are here somehow gets unfairly jump the line or not fly back to wherever they come from and fly back to stand back in line, they're putting these artificial barriers up that just aren't realistic. But that's the line for them. So I think you've got some young Republican leaders like Marco Rubio who are trying to push his party, and as an immigrant himself from an immigrant family, he's able to make much further roads, I think, than we're going to be able to get done on the gun control stuff.
But Republicans must know, right, that from just speaking now as a Democrat with your Democratic strategist hat on, and one who's been involved in a lot of campaigns, this Latino vote is a pot of gold for Democrats. Which is why one reason why they don't want to move and help at all. Right?
There is no question that if Mitt Romney had got the level of Hispanic vote that George Bush got against John Kerry in our campaign in 2004, he'd be president. He would have carried Florida and in Ohio by moving an 8-point margin with the Hispanic population. So being completely tone deaf cost him conceivably the presidency. And the political strategists on the Republican side know that. We know that on our side. And I mean, the thing about Democrats are we're not moved because it's a political advantage to have reasonable immigration policy. It's the right thing to do.
Right thing to do.
Therefore, it's good politics. But that's why I have more hope that the political survival instincts of the Republican Party, the minority, will allow some progress on immigration.
So you would think that there'd be some voices on the Republican side, or more, who would say, well, yes, this is the right thing to do, but also for us, it's political survival.
Right. And that's why, like, when Jeb Bush came out, and I thought he was in a position, not in elective office any longer, that he could have been a strong voice coming from Florida with a political pedigree that he has, but I was so surprised when he took that position that he was going to be opposed to certain measures on the immigration side. It seemed to me that the guy is now running for president in the Republican primary in 2016, not worried about making a big change here.
Exactly. Well, these are the two issues that have come to the forefront. They're both in the Senate, and we're looking for action on both of them: gun safety today, and then immigration reform. Michael Meehan, always good to see you. Thank you for coming in, giving us your time this morning, and I'll wrap things up with the party shot coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show.